the number one player. I'm not talking about Caleb Williams. The number one player in this draft to me is Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think he's a can't miss prospect. If you told me X, he's not gonna be a bust. It's Marvin Harrison. I don't care what team he goes to. It can be the Patriots. It can be the Commanders. It can be wherever you want it to be. Marvin Harrison will pan out. So he's my number one guy.
I don't see what everybody else see. I don't know what everybody's talking about a can't miss prospect. I just don't see can't miss. The guy just don't jump off the screen to me. I think he's a solid wide receiver in my opinion. I think I got Marvin Harrison at a strong number 2, man.
Who
Marvin
the hell you
Harrison.
got one?
You about to see right now. I think Marvin Harrison is strong number 2. I think Marvin Harrison with his size could be a big factor against because he does have a hard time going against press coverages when he goes against the physical, big size defensive backs in the NFL. I think it would be a huge issue, and I think people jumping on this Marvin Harrison thing because who his dad is. If we didn't know who Marvin Harrison Jr.'s dad is, we wouldn't be talking about Marvin Harrison like that.
You have him ranked
true.
2. You have him ranked 2.
And yeah, no, he's a solid two wide receiver to me. He ain't no can't miss prospect. He's not the best player in this draft. Like he does have bust potential in him. Like the dude goes down after first contact. Like if you watch any Ohio State game, he goes down after first contact, man. Like he's not a physical wide receiver like the rest of these wide receivers. So I got him at.
But I'll say this. My issue is the disrespect towards Marvin Harrison. It's not about him being number 2. You just did you watch him versus Georgia? Did you watch him versus Michigan? Will Johnson's going to be a top 10 pick next year. Couldn't do
Ryan,
nothing with him. I want to say this too, just to say what you was going to say, Keel. I know everybody's talking about the Giants moving up and these teams moving up. I don't understand why teams not moving up to go get Marvin Harrison. You want to go up to go get a quarterback? Man, go up there and get Marvin Harrison in this draft. Go up to 3, 4, go get Marvin Harrison.
You
they
can
see what I see, man.
He's
not a top prospect like that, man. He's not a guy that you must go trade all the way up to get. That's why they're not trading up to go get the guy.
I disagree.
No, Keo. C is right because you can find a Justin Jefferson at 22 like Minnesota did.
Right.
No.
See, this is why I disagree because I look at he's generational to me. When Julio Jones was coming out, me and Yvonne had that, and there was no AJ Green. I knew he was going to be good as well. But Julio Jones, if I can tell how high I was on Julio Jones, I'm like, man, I don't care who's in that draft. You go up and get Julio Jones because he's that dude. Calvin Johnson, you go up and get him. You go up and get Larry Fitzgerald. Those guys coming out of college, there's levels to this. And those guys were different levels to me. And I look at Marvin Harrison, that same boat. You go up and get him.
But here's the problem. Nobody who needs a quarterback is going to let you send them anything to get them out of position to get one of these quarterbacks. Like you're going to have to really give up some stuff to get one of them top 3 picks. You know what I'm saying? To get one of those top 3 picks, you have to. Go ahead.
You mentioned NFL teams trading up to go get Marvin Harrison. They should be going trading up to get Malik Neighbors because what LSU wide receivers do. We know what LSU wide receivers can do.
I 100% agree with X. Not only is it Marvin Harrison Jr., he's the best player in this draft. He is going to be a stud no matter who his quarterback is. I do think he ends up an Arizona Cardinal, and it's going to be Kyler Murray to Marvin Harrison for the next at least 7 years. Marvin Harrison Jr. and also I love drafting players that had fathers in the league because that tells me that they grew up around the best trainers. They grew up going to those NFL games. They're used to that atmosphere that doesn't faze them. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best player in the draft.
All right, let me go ahead and I hate to do this because my list pretty much the same as the Sports Junkies, man. We're gonna start at number 5 with Keon Coleman. And the thing about it is, I believe that he's dropping because of what his 4.6 that he ran at the combine. Anything else, anybody with eyes can see that dude is a top 5 receiver. If you watch any of the Florida State games, the guy is big. He can catch everything. He can run every route. He's a hell of a receiver, man. And any other year, he'd probably be the number 1 receiver on the board. And that 4.6, I don't know why that's scaring everybody. Doesn't matter. He has field speed. He has field speed. He can run every route. He can get separation, and that's all that 40 is about. Can you gain separation? He can definitely gain separation on any corner, even in the NFL. I don't see him having a problem with that. I think he's going to be a number 1 receiver on someone's team. And the fact that he's dropping like he is, I saw somebody's mock draft. He's not I saw somebody's top 10 wide receivers. He's not even in the top 10 of their wide receivers. I was like, man, I don't ever even need to look at this dude again. He knows nothing about football.
Baltimore could benefit from Keon Coleman.
Who?
Baltimore.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They got a guy kind of like him in Bateman, though. You can't have too many of the same type of receivers. Big, slow.
Get Bateman the hell out of that end.
Yeah, Bateman is great.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm gonna go to number 4, and I absolutely disagree with you, box office. Brian Thomas. Yes, sir. He is a stud, and he has more than 1 route. Here's one game I like for you to go look at the highlights from. Look at the highlights from the Texas A&M game. That'll show you that he has more than 1 route. He's good at contesting for passes, and he has great hands. He's a good wide receiver, and I think he'll probably be a 2 in the league. He'll be a 2 in the league, but he's definitely gonna help somebody. Now, even if he does only have that 1 route, he runs that route so damn good. He's so good at that 1 route. It's like when people were talking about Michael Thomas being slant boy. Well, if he can catch 149 slants, great. That means he's going to run a slant and you can't stop it. That's your fault, not his.
True, but he had Drew Brees. So Brian Thomas, from what you're telling me, better get the right quarterback.
I think, yeah, of course. I mean, but everybody except for my top 2 are going to need a great quarterback. I'll say that. So Brian Thomas, like I said, he's my number 4. Number 3, Rome Odunze. That guy is a monster. I like him. I think he's I think that if him and Michael Penix end up on the same team, that'll be a best case scenario because the chemistry that they have is like uncanny. It led them to the national championship game. So I think that maybe they just have something going good with each other. And I'm curious to see how he does with another quarterback in another system. But I think that he has all the routes. He has a route tree. I like the way you'll hear this a lot from me. I like the way he contests from passes. He contests and goes and get passes. I like that. I also seen him get good separation. So I think he's going to be a number 1 receiver eventually in the league. I think he'll be a number 1 eventually in the league. I'll compare him to kind of a Chris Olave. He came in and was supposed to be the Robin to Michael Thomas Batman, and eventually we got rid of Michael Thomas, and Olave is clearly our number 1 receiver. So I think that may be what happens with him when he comes in the league if he goes to a team that already has a star wide receiver. And all right, let's go to number 2, Mr. Malik Neighbors. I'm gonna tell you, you got to put that Mr. in front, bro, because this dude is a man. Regardless of what you say, size, whatever it is, this dude, he definitely has all the routes and very competitive. Doesn't want to lose. He fights for balls. He always wants the ball in his hand to make a play. I love his attitude. And though you can call me a homer if you want to. He had the best season of any wide receiver this year, contrary to popular belief. That makes him have an argument for being the best receiver in the country this year. So I'll say, like I said, I'll put him at number 2 just because of number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. What can I say about it, bro? That dude could have been in the NFL last year. All right. So you look at him, and I like what you said about him being used to the whole. He's a son of an NFL player, so he's used to all this stuff. The bright lights aren't going to affect him. It's all different though when you actually on that field. It's different when the lights are on you, when everybody's depending on you, when everybody. If he goes to the right situation, if he goes to the wrong situation, he could have a bad year.
What do you think about Arizona?
Arizona, I think that might be a good situation for him. It might be a good situation for him if who's the coach there now?
Jonathan Gannon, who was the Eagles defensive coordinator when they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Who's the offensive coordinator then?
I actually don't know the offensive coordinator there, but with Kyler back, I think that's a good fit. I don't like if he went to New England. I don't like that fit.
Yeah, I mean New England they're paying for the sins of the Tom Brady era right now. So it's gonna be a long few years for them. But I think that him going to Arizona, Kyler Murray's there, so Kyler Murray can get him the ball. That'd be cool. Hollywood Brown's gone, so he'll be a number one option automatically. And I think he'll work out over there, man. I think that he'll work out and he'll definitely be able to help them. But when are they drafting? They're
fourth. So I'm assuming the first 3 picks are quarterback.
Yeah, first 3 picks being quarterback. Arizona should take him. He definitely didn't fall past the Chargers.
Oh yeah, no chance.
If he's 5, if he's there at 5, the Chargers definitely take him. But I think that Arizona's gonna take him unless they're idiots. I don't see what else they could be looking for in the draft. But yeah, those are my 5. Those are my 5. Brian Thomas is gonna shock you, man. Go watch the Texas A&M highlights and watch him work.
I swear to God, on one screen I'm watching Brian Thomas versus Texas A&M right now as we're speaking.
Okay, cool.
All right. I'm gonna put an honorable mention out there. Just don't be surprised when you see this. We've seen this time and time again. My honorable mention is Xavier Worthy. Okay, here's the reason why. We've seen little, really, really fast wide receivers go in the first round. Teams just don't learn. You want this guy who's 5'8" and 170 pounds and runs a 4.2. I'll give you some examples. Ted Ginn Jr., John Ross. Remember John Ross?
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks, Tavon Austin. All these guys went in the first round. Do not be surprised if Xavier were a 4.21. If this man goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm telling y'all, man, it's going to be a problem. If he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs at 32, it's going to be a problem. I'm just saying. So do not be surprised if Xavier makes in the first. Okay, just letting you know. So at 5 for me, I got Xavier Leggett. Okay, I like this kid. He gives me AJ Brown vibes. 6'3", 227, just a monster. You line him up, and he's a physical dude. I like X receivers. I don't like these little gadget guys. I like number one guys that I can this bully battle catchers. I like that. 6'3", ran a 4.39 at 230 pounds. I'm taking him at 5 over your Brian Thomas.
You'll be wrong.
At 205. I got Adonai Mitchell. Those Texas boys, man. I mean, maybe I'm a little. I like them 6'2", 205, 4'3", and all of these guys are 4'3" guys. I'm looking at all of them, and then Worthy is a 4'2" guy. I like guys that can make you pay. If you try to bump and run me and I get past you, I'm hitting my head on the goalpost. I like Adonai Mitchell. He was the more complete Texas wide receiver. 6'2", 205, 4'3" speed. At 3, I got Roma Dunze. He's the slowest one out of all of them, and he's another physical type guy. I got that Michael Pittman type, Michael Irvin type guy. He's not going to burn past you, but he's He's just fast enough. A battle catcher. Very physical, will go up for the contested ball. Malik Neighbors at 2. I really like him. He gives me Odell Beckham Jr. prime vibes coming out of LSU. Just a fast guy that can run all of the routes, very ultra competitive. I would love to see Malik Neighbors. I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr., who I have at number 1, I don't think he'll be there at 5. But if Malik Neighbors, if you can't get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5, I would love for the Chargers. That's the guy that they need. I want to see Justin Herbert with a good young wide receiver, not Quentin Johnson, who's competitive, who can catch, who can get open. I watched the pro day today for the LSU pro day. He ran a 4.35 today. That's what you need. Mike Williams is gone. Keenan Allen's gone. They need an alpha X receiver, a number 1 receiver. I'd like to see Malik Neighbors go to the Chargers, and then he'll
be better than Odell.
It probably will. But Odell been living off that one-handed catch he made in the Cowboys for the past 7 or 8 years. But and then Marvin Harrison Jr. I never like to see a can't miss prospect, but guess what? Marvin Harrison Jr. is a can't miss prospect. The guy, he's got everything. He's got. I'm gonna start calling Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm gonna give him a nickname. I'm gonna call him Lex Luger, the total package. That's what I'm gonna call him. The guy, he's got 6'4", 205, 4.3 speed. And you talk about, the kids of NFL players. The word I like to use, pedigree, and I ain't talking about the dog food. Pedigree, guys who the lights are not too big for him. I've been here. You look at guys like that. Maybe even a guy like Brendan Rice. I don't think he's a first-round pick, but this guy grew up with Jerry Rice. This guy grew up with Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is a top 10 all-time wide receiver. This kid's got everything. So whoever gets him is getting. I would have no problem with somebody taking him number 1 overall. I think he's the best player in the draft.